Donald Trump telling our own Lester Holt on May 11th why he fired the FBI director.
Regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey, knowing there was no good time to do it. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story. It's an excuse.
And then, Tamara, the New York Times then has an article in which they describe the meeting that Trump has with Sergei Lavrov, who's the Russian foreign minister, in which the quote is, "I just fired the head of the FBI. He was crazy, a real nut job. I faced great pressure because of Russia. That's taken off." So is Donald Trump admitting that he fired the FBI director to, quote, take the pressure off on the Russiagate enough evidence that he obstructed the investigation?
Well, we're talking about Donald Trump here. It's right here at this line, but he's not putting his foot over into the water. And that's the problem that we have with this man. He is consistently doing two things. He's rallying his base. He's asking people to work for him, to be loyal. He's asking for his followers to be loyal. And then at the same time, he is interfering in investigations, but not to the point that it rises to any level of criminality. And as somebody who has practiced criminal defense for 12 years, you have to have probable cause. And he's almost there. That hearing with Comey was essentially a probable cause hearing. And if I were a judge, I would say, yes, this is enough. But on the other hand, I think that there's a lot more to come. And the Democrats, if we're going to make this a political argument, need to wait before they play their hands because they don't want to show their cards too quickly.
And Paul Butler, on that point, this is Senator Lindsey Graham on CBS this morning arguing also, and he's a JAG in the military, not a civilian lawyer, but he's arguing that there is no obstruction of justice case. And here is his argument.
And unless Mueller is a complete idiot, which he is not, he's concluded there's no obstruction of justice case because if he had concluded otherwise, Comey wouldn't be testifying. You wouldn't let your chief and only witness go through this process if you really believed you had a case to prosecute, and Mr. Mueller is a good prosecutor.
Adam Schiff.
Okay, so you're a former prosecutor, Paul Butler. Would you let your chief witness testify in front of Congress if you were intending to make a case for obstruction?
Joy, I prosecuted people for corruption of justice, including FBI agents. Director Comey went into that meeting. He tried to be all folksy, oh, lordy, but he had an agenda, and he delivered the President of the United States on a platter with 2 words. He said that he felt that Trump ordered and directed him to stop the investigation. He met with Comey one-on-one 9 times. Now, President Obama met with the director twice in 3 years. Comey meets with him 9 times in 3 months. That's inappropriate. He should have been fired. But when he said that he felt ordered and directed to fire, to stop the investigation, and in these 9 meetings, Trump isn't asking him, oh, what's this about the Russians taking over our democracy and subverting the election? Trump is saying, stop this investigation against me and my boy, Mike Flynn. If that's not obstruction of justice, I don't know what is.
Well, see, but to that point, I want to let you respond, but I first want to have you listen to Alan Dershowitz, who's making the opposite of the Paul Butler argument, essentially saying that even if he did want direct him what to do, that the president can do it. Let's listen to Alan Dershowitz.
The president has the authority to direct the head of the FBI to stop investigating anyone. According to Comey, Comey says it is clear under the Constitution, the president can decide who should be prosecuted, who shouldn't be prosecuted, who should be investigated, who shouldn't be investigated. You can't obstruct justice by simply exercising your power under the Constitution. You can't be obstructing justice by firing Comey. You have the right to fire Comey.
Who's right, Paul Butler or Alan Dershowitz?
Alan Dershowitz, most respectfully, yes. Okay, here is why. Now, even if Trump said these things, it is not a subjective standard on how Comey felt, if Comey felt that he was ordered or directed, because he wasn't. Trump is allowed to fire Comey. Point blank. Trump is also allowed to say, hey, I hope you let this go. He's allowed to say prosecute and not prosecute. The question, though, how do I reconcile what Professor Dershowitz says? The question is, did Trump have corrupt intent? And, Joy, we have no corroborating evidence of that right now. It's not like Clinton with the blue dress. There has to be more evidence at this point.
So Professor Dershowitz was actually my criminal law professor, and here's why he's wrong, and respectfully why my friend Seema is wrong. Corrupt intent is ordering the vice president, the attorney general, Jared Kushner, and Reese Priebus to leave the room so that you can have the private conversation that you know you're doing something wrong. That's what we prosecutors call consciousness of guilt. And as far as this defense that, oh, Trump didn't know about Washington ways, he's ignorant, can you even imagine if President Obama had tried to say when the Republicans were coming for him, I didn't know, I don't know how D.C. works.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And let's just say, let me just read verbatim Article 1 of the impeachment of Nixon. Interfering or endeavoring to interfere with the conduct of the investigations of the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
That is what Donald Trump is attempting to do.
We're out of time. We're out of time. But I'm going to give the last word. We have no time left. Philip Lacavera, last word.
I was going to say, I think Professor Dershowitz is wrong because corrupt motive does, in fact, override or limit the president's power to direct investigations.
All right. Well, when later on, we're going to have we're going to re-up this debate. We're going to have Lawrence Tribe come on, and he's going to have some interesting thoughts on this. So we're going to have more of this. Thank you, Tamara Holder, Paul Butler, Seema Iyer, Philip Lacavera. We're going to do it with more time next time. And